All right, Colossians 3:10, we were just talking about how in the last video that we're not to lie to one another, seeing that we put off the old self with its practices. And we cut it off at verse 10 just because, I want to keep these videos at about 5 minutes, somewhere around there. If less, that's even better maybe. But anyways, let's start at verse 9. It says, "Do not lie to one another, seeing that you have put off the old self with its practices, and have put on the new self, which is being renewed in knowledge after the image of its creator." This is, again, this is a slightly different wording, a little different take than Ephesians 4, where we have the whole concept of putting off the old man and putting on the new one. And here it's implied or assumed that we have put on the new self. Whoops, I gotta put the color code. There you go. Pause it if you need to, but let's get back. Okay, having put on the new self, that's what we are supposed to be doing. This is what, so again, I underline that because it's kind of an example, but I also want to underline this new self in blue, being Christ-like, because our new self is being renewed in knowledge after the image of its creator. So this new self is not of ourself. It's not just us or me. It's of Christ. And so the reality is of what Christ is doing. I'm being renewed. I'm becoming a new person, which is because of Christ, who, going back up, who is your life, right? Christ, who is your life. He's the new self. So, having put on the new self, which is being renewed in knowledge after the image of the creator. It's not just straight up like trivia knowledge and just stuff that we know. I can recite facts. That's not this kind of knowledge. This is the gnosko type knowledge, the relational. It's experiential. It's deeper than just being able to recite some fact. This is a lived out knowledge. This is experience, and we're not just talking like you had a spiritual experience. We're talking practice, right? This is something that you've done. You know that this is how it is. You know that this is the heavenly line because you've practiced it to the place where you are putting off the old, you're putting on the new, or you're putting off the old practices even and putting on the new practices, which is becoming more and more familiar with the image of the creator. That is Christ, our creator, God. So again, these are important things. I may even go back and underline some of these verses actually when you think about it, because this is important stuff. I usually, in terms of changing habits, I go to Ephesians chapter 4, and this would all be connected. But this is counseling. This is discipleship. This is stuff that, you can underline everything in Scripture. But for our purposes, there's some things that you just highlight. And I haven't mentioned this. I have switched over to a new pen for underlining, and it's I'm not trying to promote a pen. This is not sponsored, but that's the important part right there. This is a very fine point, permanent type marker that doesn't really bleed through, but I have found this, especially with my shaky hands, with writing the verses in the side parts, here like that, but then underlining things like that. I need as fine a pen as possible. This one has been really great. So I used to use just a Sharpie one, but the problem with that was it was still just a little too thick. And in my ignorance, I didn't know they made even smaller pens. And so if you're looking for a good pen that marks Bible, that fits in these small spaces, look for a .05, right? That's the size that is just teeny tiny, but boy, it's useful. It's not great for writing normal things, but for making these small notes, it's very helpful. So, anyways, there's verse 10, and we'll get into verse 11 in the next video.